Maybe we could hire teachers based on how they would relate to students, and almost like if they wanted to voice their problems, then they could do that as well with the teachers, and they would make them feel more comfortable with each other, and they would actually care more about their students and if they're learning or not.
There was a numeric system for evaluating students at the school where I used to work. Written exams, oral exams, and participation. Evaluating a written exam was easy because students had to choose the correct answer from a number of possibilities, or write a very specific answer. There was right or wrong, simple as that. Oral exams, however, were tougher because students had to answer a question orally. But how can we really assess a correct answer? If you give me the information I ask for, that should do it. But students had to answer within the limits of each class, use specific vocabulary, a conversation strategy, etc. And then there was participation. And the problem with evaluating a rubric like this, participation, makes it all the most difficult for students, because we usually think of participation as talking, and students don't want to make mistakes. They don't want to be exposed. Maybe my classmates are getting all the right answers and I'm not sure. Maybe I just want to listen to the teacher and my classmates. Is that a crime? On the principle number 2 of our free course, I talk about this, what schools and scholars call TTT, or teacher talking time. Almost as a rule, teachers are required to talk only for a small percentage of the class, something in the neighborhood of 20%, and then the other 80% should be language produced by the students, by their participation, their pair discussions or group discussions. Now, this surely sounds like a good idea, in theory. If students spend most of the class talking, that means they are putting their English into practice, right? But what kind of language are they going to use, do you think? A student who has studied only simple present is going to magically start talking in future tense only because he's talking? No, that's quite unlikely. If you leave a student to his own devices, he is going to use only the language that he already knows. And while this might give him some time to practice, he's not really learning or acquiring the new language. And if students are held responsible for the 80% of the talking in every class, where are they supposed to get new language from? Here's an idea. Imagine that you have the opportunity to talk with the one person you deem the most intelligent person in history. The person who, in your opinion, knows all the things you wish to learn. Einstein, Tesla, Newton, Hawking, Darwin, you name it. You have 30 minutes alone with this brilliant mind. How much of that time do you reckon you would spend talking? I don't know about you, but I would only make questions and listen. Listen as much as I could. Why would I even talk? If I'm talking, I'm not learning. Sure, you could say, listen, Albert, I have read everything about your theory and I will tell you all about it. Sure, but why would you do that? He wrote the book on relativity. Let the man talk, for Christ's sake. If you spend those 30 minutes only listening, you would walk out of the room knowing a lot more than when you entered. And the same thing happens in a classroom, to some extent, of course. The teacher is not the most intelligent person in the world. He doesn't know everything, but he knows and uses the language that you don't and you want to use. And if you listen long enough, and if you make the important questions, you will know those things too. On my last days as a teacher, I was teaching a final course. The next step after this course was conversation classes. And I was talking with one of my students. He was worried about this next step. He said, they are combining our group with another group. And they tell me that they are more advanced. They are better at talking. And I don't want to make a fool of myself. If they know more English than I do, it will be embarrassing and I still have to have conversations. And I said, listen, being in a conversation doesn't mean you have to talk all the time. You could just listen and learn a great deal. And if they, in fact, speak more English than you do, that's great, because then you can learn from them. Why do you want to have conversations with people who don't have anything new to add to your life? I said, this is my advice for you. Just be there and listen.